Greetings everyone and welcome back to Clanfolk. At the beginning of our second year, we managed to get through our first winter in a pretty good position, honestly. We managed to make enough clothing of every type for our whole family, and we even expanded and then shrunk again the herd of sheep that we have, and we ended winter with 36 days of food. That's almost a full year's worth of food in our larder. Though on the topic of sheep, one thing that I neglected to do at the end of the last episode, Winterblade. Tyron Winterblade, welcome to the herd. There we go, we've named our ram. And I will try moving forward to ensure that I only sell the unnamed livestock. With regards to livestock, it is going to be a case that eventually we'll either slaughter them or we'll sell them as they're getting older. But we probably didn't need to sell the last ram quite as early as we did. Just generally, with these sorts of games, I tend to figure if I'm going to sell one, I'll just sell the oldest one, and therefore we're keeping the youngest ram at all times. But we'll try and mix that up a little bit. Now, what are our plans moving forward in this year? Well, I've got an idea of what I want by next winter, but not particularly an order of priority up until then. We do want to expand out our guest rooms and also bring our barn down here and cordon off this watering hole for use by our livestock. But we also need to get on farming. That is probably the most time critical of all the tasks, simply because we want to get the planting done early in the year, so make sure that we've got enough time to then harvest it before the year's end. Now, looking into that, to get most of the big bang for buck farming, we need tilled soil, which is going to require 2 idea points, but there are a couple of other things that are competing for that. Next, we want compost, which gives you fertilizer, which would greatly increase the speed that you can harvest crops, and or rather the yield. And then the job board, we really need to get jobbers, and I think as much as we want to get planting done as quickly as possible, I think that getting more jobbers is going to be a higher priority for me right now. Now let's have a quick look at the spread of skills, just reacquaint ourselves. Everyone has got care and repair at a relatively high priority. Kyra is an exception for care because she just really doesn't like it, so she gets a morale penalty when that's happening. And by comparison, Bentham really doesn't like cooking, gets a very big morale penalty for that. And I try to keep the jobs that they enjoy somewhere close to the top. Once we've got a much bigger clan and I can afford to just let people do what they like, that'll be a really viable way of keeping their moods very, very high. And it's honestly a good tactic for jobbers if you can afford to do it. But as we can see here, sometimes the best person for the job is not always the person who'll get the most joy out of doing the job. So you do have to make some sacrifices hither and yon. But for the time being, things look okay. How is our stock of branches? A little bit on the low side, if I'm perfectly honest. We've got some branch gathering jobs over yonder, but you know what? I think that is something that I would like to do. I would really like to get a better floor down, but it's going to take me a little while to get to that stage. So for the time being, I'm just going to go ahead and run a dirt path over here to this mining area and branch gathering zone. Something around here would do. This is going to allow our clan folk to easily access the resources out on this side of things, and we probably want to do something similar over there in a while. Right now it's not as high of a priority, but we definitely want some way of getting down here as well if we can. Let's go ahead and run. Can I run a path there? No, sadly. Later on, different types of paths can be used for that. Well, let's do something like this for now then. There we go, that will work. And that will help people getting to the jobs that I need them to do a little bit faster. We might even run a path all the way around there, so it's very easy to get to any particular job in this area. Likewise, down here, this is an area where we've got some snare trap set up. This is going to be very important for us moving forward, since we do want to cut down on the amount of time that they're wasting in just traveling, because traveling to a job is not doing the job. There we go. Anyone who's played Oxygen Not Included will be intimately familiar with the importance of making efficient paths to and from the work that our peeps are going to be doing. Now we've got a couple more stones, and we're gradually making this room look much, much better. Let's fill that out. I think we can afford to do it at this point. There we go, and get all of the floors set up in there that we can. Do we have enough clay available? Not that much. I think it would probably help if we gathered a bit more clay as well. There we go. Now, there is one other thing I want to do. You'll notice that the growth rate and the maximum rate of the fish in these areas is increasing over time. This will eventually be at 100%. It's because we've just got out of winter and the water is still warming to become a healthy environment for the eels. So the maximum percentage for fishing will eventually hit 100 over here. But down here, I think it never really gets much above the high 50s, possibly low 60s. So I want to dial back on how much we're fishing down here. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to add in another wait until tomorrow. This will give 2 wait until tomorrow. Now, I hope that this works the way I expect it to. It might not, but ideally, this will mean that we will fish from this pond once every 3 days, whereas we will fish from this pond, once a day and once every 2 days down here. I could expand that out a little bit more if I feel the need, but we'll see how that one goes. Now, how are all of our animals doing? At this point, they should be happy to go outside and graze, as long as there is grass for them to graze on. I don't, or rather shouldn't need to worry about that over much. Now, I wouldn't mind moving down a couple more of the jobs into this room, if I have the opportunity to. Is there anything else I would really like to move down? I mean, I could move clay down there. Let's have a quick gander at crafting. Is there anything that I'm not able to situate right yet? No, not really. I mean, I could move the tinker bench down here as well. This is currently set to free time only. Someone asked in the comments whether this was set up for free time or not. It very much is. So people will only work on tinkering with farming or cooking if there is enough, if they're just downtime and they've got nothing better to do. Maybe hunting experience would be a good one for that one. Or, in fact, straw branches and stones. Sure, I'll add that one in there. And maybe even add in clothing experience, perhaps. Sure. We'll throw in a couple of things here and there. Doctoring skill. Now, this is an interesting one, because I don't think this really has an opportunity to go up, save for when you have children, because they'll take care of the children, or if you have sick animals. So it's kind of a hard skill to level, really. But that will be an interesting one. Orestes, what are you up to? Ah, you're going out for a bit of a drink. I thought you were coming out to warn off the foxes. I didn't really worry too much that they would be a concern for our sheep right now. I don't think the foxes are going to go for sheep. They'll happily go for chickens, but sheep are a bit of a big deal for a fox to go to, so they pretty much need to be absolutely starving. And honestly, probably even then, only the lambs are going to be a threat. That being said, I've heard stories of foxes doing crazy things when really pushed up against the wall of survival. So you can never entirely rule it out. Probably the risk of a fox to your sheep is not 0, but it's really low. Right, we do have a trader down here. Let's slow things down and say hello. You've got some oat sheaf. You've got some flax sheaf, got some straw. What do we need? Yeah, I could do with the straw, sure. I might even take the heather at this point. We can easily gather heather. That's not going to be too much of an issue for us. I could sell the ash, or I could sell some of the bricks. And I might do. That might not be a bad move. We could definitely sell some of the tile. Sure, let's go ahead and sell some tile and bricks. This will just allow them to passively, because this is not a job they need to sit on. Really, the only active component is digging up the clay, but then it's just time to do this. I generally find this to be a relatively good sale commodity. And then we're going to buy all of this. That'll save us some time. And this will give us a little bit of clan reputation as well. Thank you very much. Oh, it's warmed up enough that you've taken your hood off. Fair enough. I mean, it's raining right now, so I'm kind of surprised by that, but sure. Okay, so our clan folk have quite a lot of work to do, and we have actually gone up to the point where we can now get jobbers. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I missed that prior to this morning, so we may have missed out on the opportunity to get jobbers today. Nevertheless, we finally have a job board, and we can place this sign down. Let's go ahead and pop this. Well, we could pop it in there if we really wanted to, but I think I'll pop it a little bit further up. We'll get a bit of space between each of those signs. Eventually, I would like to make a little plaza for our traders, guests, and jobbers to come to. I don't actually think it impacts them in any way. It may impact the jobbers and the guests if you then accept them into the colony, because it might have had an impact on their mood before they actually settled down. But it definitely won't have any impact on the traders. But, you know, for the roleplay reasons, I think it would be quite nice. All right, I'm going to let our clanfolk get a bunch of work done, and I will bring you back when there is something to report. Okay, it is coming up to almost nighttime, the late evening on the 2nd of spring. We've got Catherine of Clan Macintosh looking for a bed to sleep at. Sure, we go ahead and give that to you. You'll notice that I've moved a couple of things around. I've moved the work zone indoors. That's going to give us some space in here for me to place down a couple of extra beds, because we're going to need beds for the jobbers, who no doubt will arrive on the morrow. Hopefully we'll get a few of them, so I'm going to go ahead and plan ahead and place down 2 beds, and I'm going to make them a fairly high priority to get built as well, because we definitely want to make sure that those are there in time. Obviously, they only need to be there by night tomorrow, unless the job is showing up in the middle of the night, which I don't believe they even can, but definitely something for us to be aware of. This is going to dig into our days of food, obviously, so we're going to need to be a little bit more aggressive with how we gather food on that note. And to that end, let's have a quick look around. We've got foxes are the only animals that I'm seeing on the map right now. Oh, actually, there is a stag. And there is a wolf. I'm not going to take out the wolf, but I may well steal its kill. There's definitely not enough stags for me and the wolf, so hopefully the wolf will move on, because we're not going to. Let's see, we don't need too many rabbits, so maybe getting a snare or 2 just dotted around the place, another snare or 2, would be quite nice. This one isn't too far away from us, but it's quite secluded, so it would be very, very useful for us to get rabbits there now and again. We have managed to get an extra idea point, but I'm really holding out for going for the tilled soil. Once we can get that, then I can look at planting some oats. I can even look at planting flax. I could grow a heather patch if I particularly wanted to. I do not feel that is going to be a high priority for us, so we're probably going to be sitting on that one, but for the time being things look relatively well. I've also built a new haystack over here, but I've dropped the priority, and in fact that's something I'm going to do for all of the outdoors storages. I don't feel that storage which is kind of like overflow storage should really have a very high priority, whereas storage is right next to a workbench or a high priority storage. For example, this one, that can take the hay as a priority, and then all the rest can go in there if there's enough room. But I'm not going to be storing anything else over there, so we did need the extra one as well. I do need to get some rocks mined for the job board. Sadly, that didn't happen yesterday, so let's go ahead and maybe bump up mining as a priority. I could perhaps have the mining happening there, and in fact, above the gathering as well, and maybe even above the sweeping, but I really do like it when you get things clean. So we'll pop mining above crafting for now, and we'll see how that one goes for the time being. Right, we've got 2 more tiles to go there, and then 1 rock for the job board, and we've got 2 rocks down here, so hopefully we're going to see this all done. Now, that's interesting you're heading down in this direction instead of using the path. I guess the path isn't a big enough improvement for you, and I don't quite know whether the gravel path would be enough of an improvement yet. But that's what I'm aiming to upgrade to. But I really do need that extra idea point to get the compost or the tilled soil. Tilled soil first, I would say. Get the fields planted, and then I can fertilize them later if I particularly want to. We're not always going to be fertilizing the fields as we go. But there we are, getting the last couple of rocks dug up, and that will allow us to get the job board on the go. We are needing iron ore. We are needing flax sheaf. We've got plenty of things to do with iron ore over here, so they should be getting to that soon. Wow, you are quick with setting up these roads. I greatly approve. Greatly approve. That's excellent, actually. We're also... Have we chopped down all of the trees that are on the path? No, we're almost done with cutting the trees, though, and that's going to allow us to finish off this path. I do recommend building paths early on. They have such a dramatic improvement on your clan's overall logistics. That really is shooting yourself in the foot if you leave it too long. Kind of like, not prioritizing a job board. Honestly, we would have gotten so much more done through winter if I'd set that up. Because you don't necessarily need the jobbers to stay the whole night. You just want them to leave before they become miserable. That's the main thing you need to take care of. Also, I think I'm going to rotate that, place that there, and then we're going to shave off this whole part of the mountain again, just for a couple of extra rocks where we can. We'll see how that one goes. But there we are. We've got 2 ideas. That's perfect. We want the tilled soil. And there we go. Marvelous. Now we're going to be able to use those hoes. Right, let's slow things down and decide how we're going to set this up. My recommendation is don't over-farm. It's going to be very tempting to build an enormous crop field. But understand that any crops you set up are going to have a couple of requirements. Firstly, they will need to be manually watered. Or at the very least, it will generate watering jobs. A regular field, you can just plant out on the grass. Like, for example, grass, you can plant wherever you want, and it'll just grow happily. But even if you plant grass on tilled soil, then your clanfolk will consider it a farmed crop and will start caring for it as a farmed crop, which means they will fertilize it if you've told them to fertilize them, and they will water it if you've told them to water it. They will automatically harvest it once it's harvestable. If you want grass for grazing, I recommend you just plant it on grass, just on wild tiles, to encourage, or rather to remove the desire to actually harvest it once it's fully grown. That being said, if you want to stock up a nice amount of hay for winter, then it may be worth going ahead and doing that and actually growing the grass very specifically. But we're going to get a couple of small fields early on, I think. Let's go for something along these lines. 2 reasonable sized field. Well, maybe we could even stretch it out a little bit more than that, but I think this is good enough. We can maybe even get it a little bit longer. But understand, this is going to take a lot of work for your peeps to take care of. So be mindful of how many jobs you're going to set them up for in the future. Now, for now, we're going to plant flax and oats. I can plant reeds early on, and that might be worth me doing because it doesn't take much effort, but later on this will be a good source of straw for us. But you'll, in my experience, very quickly outgrow the need for reeds as your source of straw. Amira is getting the job board up, though. That's going to be absolutely wonderful. Whenever I see this job board, I always kind of think of the job board in Eco for some reason. I'm very, very tempted to get another community eco server going and see if we can't get to the point where job boards are used, where the economy is sufficiently fleshed out that people just take jobs from job boards. Right, Janet from Clan Forbes, Grace McGuide. Welcome, Janet. You go and tuck yourself down for the evening. The room is relatively nice, I like to think. If we have a look at the environment is 5. It's a positive numbered room. That's very good. The environment over there, minus 500. Well, okay, fair enough. Environment minus 10 there, minus 10. Maybe we could improve these a little bit more. It's not like we don't have the means to. Stone floor at the moment is a bit of a rough sell, but let's have a look. How much would it cost me to pop down tile or brick flooring? It costs 2. Okay, that is a bit of a hard sell. There are many other things that are more useful to me to get than that. If we had a good supply of... Well, actually, I could go for flax retting, actually. Ret flax stems by submerging them into water to more easily extract the flax fibers. Might not be a bad choice, since that would allow us to process the flax that we'll be getting eventually. But we don't need that one right now. But... if we could have a different floor type, I think that would greatly improve these rooms. But as it stands, the walls being natural stone, this isn't something that necessarily makes the clan folk particularly happy. So that's something that we're going to want to try and work on. And here we go. Listen to all those dings. Fantastic. We've got another trader on their way as well. But we have got 2 jobbers. We've got Amelia from Clan Forbes, and we've got Samuel from Clan Boyd. Let me have a look at the 2... Boyd is very close to having the next star. So we're going, well, to be honest, I wouldn't mind taking both of them. There's no reason not to. It all costs 43 a day. This is the list of skills that they've got. Welcome to their clan. You will cost 42 a day. This is the list of skills that they have. Also, welcome to the clan, and I will get you set up right away. Okay, there we go. The eagle-eyed amongst you will already notice a bit of a pattern, and that is the jobs which require a lot of travel time have been massively deprioritized for our family members and massively prioritized for our jobbers, with the jobs that are largely done around the homestead itself, such as building, crafting, cooking, tailoring, the likes. These have got a high priority, but I have tried my best to maintain the jobs that people are happiest at the high end of things. Even with the jobbers, I think that this is an important thing to try and do. But we should see the jobbers doing the lion's share of the sweeping and the hauling, and something that I do in RimWorld a lot. I've alternated so that someone is prioritizing cleaning above hauling and the other is prioritizing hauling above cleaning. And I feel that this should help keep the homestead nice and tidy. Right, let's have a look at you then. I could buy some dogs. Well, that is very, very tempting indeed. Exceedingly tempting. I could put down another pet bed. That would not be a problem. We've got a decent amount of... I could sell the flax. I wouldn't really get much for it, though. I could also sell 5 sacks for a little bit. 10 hides. We don't actually need the hides, and we've got a reasonable amount of hides, I believe. Let's have a quick check. Yes, I could happily sell 30 hides there. Wouldn't be a problem. You've only just become an adult. You're a little ways off being an adult. Should we take a puppy or should we take an adult? Look, I can't say no to a puppy. Everyone say hello to Malachi. Welcome to the clan, Malachi. We're going to need to get you a proper pet bed as quickly as we can. Where are we going to pop this proper pet bed is a question. You can be down there. You can keep the guests warm overnight. That's very kind of you. We do need to sort out this whole situation as quickly as we can, but things are in a good place. Right, now, with that done, we've got another trader there, actually. I could buy some eggs from you as well. I'm actually not against that. Sure, we'll take those. That gives us a clan reputation of 9 there. Right, you can head on out. Thank you very much. Furthermore, okay, it seems that everyone's brought some puppers around to sell. However, I'm not looking to sell them right now. Well, now, I could sell on the lamb. There's no point in me keeping the lamb, but right now, the lamb is feeding itself for free. I could wait until the lamb has reached adulthood and then sell it for a lot more. I think that is the better option there. As far as our clothing as well, I could get more out of selling this clothing. And maybe that's something I should actually do. Sure, I think I will. Instead of selling the hides themselves, I'll try and sell spare clothing. Now, that's going to require that I have spare clothing. I'm also going to buy that just to give us something to do. But that is going to require that I have the spare clothing to make. So let's go ahead and increase the supply of at least the furs, because I haven't really seen many people willing to buy the sackcloth. I don't think anyone really wants that. But we can have a quick look and see if there's anyone who's willing to buy sackcloth. No, it doesn't look like it. So we're looking to trade with Anderson for the various fur items. The cloak itself will sell for 40. How much fur is required for that? 8 hide and 10... I believe we sold for something like 20. So yes, that's a very, very good upgrade. That's a little bit over twice as valuable if we convert it, or rather we stitch it into a hide cloak before we go ahead and sell that. That would actually make for a pretty solid way of going. Now over here, we didn't manage to get everything set up like that, fully stocked, but it's good enough for now, I think. The cooked eggs will all get stored in there, which is going to be marvellous. I do want to make sure that there are enough baskets for all of our jobbers. Now, unfortunately, future guests are not going to have a private room at this point, which is a bit of an issue. But I think at this stage we can probably look at setting up a dedicated barn with heating and guest rooms down here. Now let's have a think of how we want the guest rooms to be laid out. Okay, here we go. As promised, we have set up what will eventually be a pretty lavish guest room down here. I don't know if these walls are going to count against it or not. We'll have to see how that one plays out. But this is otherwise a 5x5 space. Hopefully this still counts as a huge room, but it might not because of that. So if that is the case, I will actually push this wall across by one. In fact, I could probably afford to do that right now. The guests are going to have a better house than any of the actual clan folk here, which is not exactly where you want things to be, but oh well. We'll go ahead and we'll pop a vent right up top. This actually gives us room for potentially 2 beds eventually. Ideally, I would like it to be a private room, but if not, that's fine. It also has room enough for a fireplace, or rather a fire pit for heating, but it'll also be sharing heat with the nearby animal pen as well. So with all of that set up, I think we're good for folks to get to work on that. Though, can we make it out of a better material? Let's have a look at the potential walls. We could go with log walls if we really wanted to. If we wanted brick walls, we'd have to save up a little bit more. No, there are other things that I would like to get ahead of that, but log walls might not be a bad option. Sure, let's go for log walls, and this will be one of the first places that we set up in that way. So let's just go do this. I'm not sure if this is going to overwrite. I guess we'll find out in a moment. Let's place all of that down. I might even be able to select it and see. Yeah, that has actually overridden it. That's pretty nice. I'm going to be honest. So it would be nice if there was a little bit more of a visual feedback to let me know that that had actually gone through correctly. Nevertheless, if we can get some proper log walls, let's have a look at the status of log walls. It's okay, so wattle walls have a -2 for indoors and outdoors. No one likes wattle walls, but log walls have no penalty, so we could probably want to replace all of these walls with wood walls as soon as we possibly can. Now, of course, I could use this for our jobbers instead of our guests, and that is an option. You do want to take care of your jobbers, because if you have a look, their satisfaction also matters. Eventually, they are going to leave. And when they do, you will gain or lose clan reputation. If their satisfaction gets too low, they'll simply go of their own accord. But if you can max it out, they may want to stay. And right now, we do have an eligible bachelorette who we would like to find a partner for, so that we can start expanding the clan. Alright, with the amount of people currently in the clan, we're actually starting to get to the point now where we need more places for them to do their business. So, alright, well, we're going to have to expand that out then, I guess. On that note, let's go ahead and upgrade these walls. You're already having to poop in this tiny little closet. We may as well make it not a miserable experience for you. Let's do something along those lines. Pop down a quick straw door, and then another poop place in there. I'm going to wait to put the poop place down until someone has actually set that up. Though we are going to want windows, so they aren't in complete darkness whilst they're tending to the morning or the evening's ablutions. We're also starting to get this area set up. You know what? We may as well get the oats going. There's no reason to wait on that, but ideally, let's get all of this at the same time. Eventually, it'll all synchronize. Don't worry too much if things are not quite in perfect sync early on. By winter, everything is going to die anyway, so as long as you've got the field ready for spring, it'll all resynchronize. It will all work itself out in the end. But we are almost up to 2 idea points, which is where we're going to be able to set up the access to composting, and that's going to be a big thing for us. Well, here we go. This is the first time I've actually seen Orestes in hunt mode. Amelia is currently hunting this vixen, and Orestes is moving in for the kill. The vixen has been wounded. Well, actually, might not even have been wounded that much, but Orestes made exceedingly short work of them, and Amelia now is moving in to finish the vixen off, I believe. Or no, it is still dying. So Amelia had to move in and actually finish the kill. But there we go. That is fantastic to see. I wonder if our pupper can do that yet. I'm going to say, Papa, Malachi, you just guard the livestock. You don't need to go out on the hunt. Orestes is good for that, I think. Yeah, Orestes is in full hunt mode, so that should take care of everything we need. But that was awesome to see actually happening. With the deerhounds helping the hunters, we should have a pretty steady supply of meat coming through. And it's also very nice to see our clanfolk making use of the roads that we so painstakingly built for them. Now, your workers will happily equip any spare clothing you have in your colony. So you can go ahead and add a couple more if you really want your workers to be able to tend to their needs. And honestly, there's no particular reason not to, exceed the amount that we need by a reasonable margin for sales. As long as you don't sell under the amount... Oh, we've unlocked the iron ore pile. Marvellous. As long as you don't sell under the amount that you would need for your colonists, that would be a bit of a problem. Now, let's have a quick look in the storage here. Is this flammable? No, well, it's flammability low. That's fair enough. Let's go ahead and pump that right there. We have got 2 idea points, and I think it is time for us to go ahead and grab the stone fireplace. Will this actually lead too much for us? I don't know if it will. The smoker would allow us to smoke meat for a much greater time, but I think mostly we're looking for the fireplace. Of course, if we save 1 more point, we could make some serious progression by getting the timbery, but there is a reason why I want the fireplace in particular, and I will quickly demonstrate that. First of all, it can be used for cooking. It has about the same temperature as a regular cooking fire. It gives significant boosts to the interior space it's in. Indoors plus 25, but even outdoors it gives plus 5. But the biggest part is that it only throws sparks forward. See that little red area there? That's the only place that sparks will go. Also, it sits far more sunken in a space, which I think is particularly nice. So we're going to get rid of that fireplace there. We're going to build, or rather the fire pit, and we're going to build a fireplace in here. Eventually I'll replace all the cooking fires with that one, since it's pretty much a flat upgrade. And in terms of the cooking, but very much so in terms of the space you need to keep fireproof. Now, obviously here we're not going to see that much of a difference, but down here it's going to be a massive difference, because this fireplace can't ever be put next to anything that can catch fire. So that means I couldn't, if these walls were flammable, if this was wood, I couldn't put this fireplace here. If these walls were wood, I couldn't put this this fireplace here. But this one can be there, because the only tiles that will ever receive sparks are these 3 directly in front of it. So that means that it is completely safe to put against the wall, which is what I would like to do down here. Ultimately, I reserved this area in the design because I wasn't sure if we were going to go for the cooking fire or not. But having this fire there, that would still have been safe. But having this against this wall is going to be much, much better. And in fact, this will be an even better demonstration of how useful the fireplace is versus the regular fire pit. Let me just make sure that the flammable blockers are all across there. I'm going to need a bit of clay for this though, so let's get some more clay being gathered. There we are. Let's get a gathering spot for clay. But we also unlocked a couple of other things. Let's have a look in here. We've now got the grain pallet. We have finally gathered enough things that we can store grain properly. Storing it outside though, not the best idea, simply because rats. So we're going to, for the time being, put it in here. At least it is somewhat protected in there. So that should actually help out. But you notice that we have now got everything set up over here for us to get a poop place. We don't yet have the roof, but that shouldn't take much for us to pop down. So let's go for the hay roof there. There we are, all done and dusted. And this room is now also ready. So let's get all of this laid down. And we should, if lucky, be able to get guests in before spring is out. It is currently the 6th of spring. Now we've got another 4 days before spring is over. Now let's get all of the oats set up over here. Again, it doesn't really matter whether they're all synchronized. I mean, it's always nice to see them all be synchronized, but the main thing is just getting things in the ground for now. And there we go. We have got the new poop hole. It took us a rather large amount of time to get set up, and you realize I've put the grain pallet down here. Why didn't I put it in the larder? Don't ask me. I don't know. But we will be moving that up as soon as it is ready. I want another meat rack down here, though. Let's go ahead and pop that in there. And I would actually like another food basket as well, serving basket. We'll pop that one in there as well. And then between all of these, we'll keep this little space here for whatever needs to be stored there. But it is amazing that all of the dried mushrooms managed to last us all the way through the winter. We've still not really even started digging into that. But it might be worth me popping up the mushroom drying rack. We'll just pop that there. And over here, of course, I'm going to tell them to stop cooking anything. But this will allow our peeps to keep this room roasty toasty, and ideally, because the source of light will be a little bit further back, I'm hoping that this will allow our clan folk to stop having to worry about the light in their eyes quite as much as they have had to up until this point. Now, we've got 2 idea points, almost 3. I think at this point we really do need to wait for the timbery, because that is going to lead to so many other things, including the smithy, because we will then be producing planks. Once we've got the smithy, we can finally get down to the beds, because we need nails for them. That's ultimately what's holding us back, and we need the straw double bed in order to get any new children. Bentham is not getting any younger, sadly. So we do need to get these things managed as quickly as we possibly can. There we go, got a couple more racks set up. That's fantastic. We'll easily be able to keep things going there. And I am reasonably happy with the way that we're managing our food stocks at the moment. It has been my tendency in the past to cook everything as soon as it's there, but as long as you can store the raw meat, there's no reason to. I think actually having the raw meat stored gives us more adaptability, because, for example, some things can only accept raw meat. But we can now get the timbery, so we shall. Let's go ahead and unlock that. That's also going to unlock bark, which used for tanning and sometimes a lovely path. So basically we've now got mulch. Right, we want the timbery set up. Now I could, if I really wanted to, pop that outside. I would prefer it in here if I could make that happen, though. And I think we will actually aim to do that. For the time being, I guess I could stick it out here, and then eventually I'll move it in. That seems like a reasonable thing to do. So let's go ahead and place that down, just so we've actually got the timbery set up and usable. We'll just pop it there. It's going to cut off some of the storage space here, but I'm not over worried about it. Honestly, I want to move away from having general storage as quickly as we can to having very specific storage. Having the timber pile nearby would be ideal. Perhaps I should start looking to set up proper workshops as something of a priority as well. That may well be worth it. We could, more or less, move the barn down as is, as long as we've got 4 walls, really. In that case, I'm going to bump up the priority of the straw door there. As soon as that's set up, then I can move the animals into this space. There we go, marvellous. Right, we're going to move all of the animal beds down here. Now, the only thing that will be a problem is that potentially, whilst this is not protected from the elements, our animals are going to become a little bit grouchy. We'll see how that one goes. But let's move everything down there for now. These can stay up here. Actually, I don't see any particular reason to move the water bowls just yet, but we'll more than likely expand this out to be a little bit more of a workspace. In fact, with that, you might want to move this door over here and just open this entire space up. So to that end, let's shimmy the mouse trap, the rat trap across a little bit. That way we can fit that in. And we might even start upgrading these walls to log walls too. There's a lot of things for us to do, though. There's never going to be a time when we don't have a lot of things to do, sadly. And when we move these, unfortunately, it looks like it does damage them in being moved. And then we have to spend extra straw in repairing them. That's a bit of a problem, but oh well. There's not too much that we can do about it. I would like to get some extra hay from down here if we could. Let's go ahead and get a lot of gathering there. That might not be the best place to gather, though. Thinking about it, it might be a case that by gathering there, we're going to disincline the rabbits from being there. So I might move this snare over here instead. Let's pop that there. Also, I wouldn't mind getting a little bit more hunting done if we can. What have we got? We've got a calf, hind. No, I'm not going to take them out. Leave the mother and its offspring safe. Otherwise, you won't have... I mean, I don't think this is actually mirrored in game, but, you know, you don't want to hunt whilst animals are rearing their young. That's an awful way to become utterly unsustainable and wipe out an animal population. You don't just want to not overhunt, you also want to be very mindful of when you're hunting. The game, I don't think the game simulates it at that degree, but it definitely does simulate overhunting. If you're particularly egregious in your hunting, then you're going to scare off all of the wildlife for at least the year, and possibly several years to come, and that is something you very much want to actively avoid. Now, we've got the ability of keeping branches. At this point, we don't need to gather branches ever again. Just chop the trees instead. And I also want to have a branch supply in the 500s. Let's say, there we go. And a plank supply, let's say, in the 200s. Let's go full bore with that one. We are going to want a lot. Yeah, we can easily store 500 branches in there. So that'll all go in one place. And then the plank supply, once we've got the ability to store up the planks, can go in there. There we go. We've unlocked the ingot bin. Oh, fantastic. Making a bunch of progress. Let's pop the ingot bin right here. Again, the ingot bin is not flammable. So we can happily store that in this space. And then we no longer have to have ingots stored outside. I have gone to the effort of making sure that the ingredients priority is very low, so it shouldn't take priority over the other things. But we also now have bark. Bark can be used to make mulch. Mulch paths are very, very pretty. Let's have a look if that's marked down here. The mulch path, we probably just need a chunk more bark. The plank stack and the mulch path, we'll get them when we get them. They're pretty much going to happen now. The next big thing for us to unlock is the smithy, though. That one is quite an important one, and it's also very expensive. So I think before we get that, I will be going for the compost. It is very tempting to wait until the smithy just for that massive bump of progress, but let's not lose sight of the little things as well, because they do matter. Now, with all of this in place, I think we're going to go ahead and start upgrading some walls. So let's go ahead and get all of these walls upgraded, the external walls at the very least, all the way down here. Now this is going to make this one very big, very nice space. I will be replacing, by necessity, all of these roofs with straw though, because they will not support everything we're about to do. In fact, I think we're probably going to just remove the rock in here. It's gone to that point that we don't need it. So let's go ahead and preempt that by removing that where we can. That should be okay. There we go. And once we're ready, I'll replace this with just a wood wall. I might still have some sort of segregation in here. I don't know, though. Making just one enormous crafting room, there seems to be a good reason for that, in my opinion. I think that would actually work out. We just got 2 baby sheep as well as a traveller. You are from Clan Macintosh. Well, welcome, a person from Clan Macintosh. Make yourself comfy. Oh, what happened there? Why did you wake up in the middle of the night? You are ultra satisfied, though. Your satisfaction is rising. However, because Amelia, you are so satisfied. Let's have a look. How much is your wage daily? Wage is 43 a day. I believe their wages can increase over time. It does depend a little bit on their the availability of their skills. And later on, you'll get more valuable workers who will charge a higher wage right from the beginning. Or it might be attached to the current value of the clan. I'm not really sure if this goes up as they just get better over time. But at this stage, I could ask Amelia to leave, simply because Amelia has already reached the maximum satisfaction, so we would get a wallop of clan reputation. If we have a look at that, Forbes would go up to the next tier, which would allow them to sell some more things to us. Do we need the things that they would sell? I don't know, but I am tempted to find out. So I'm going to ask Amelia to leave, and I'm going to go ahead and activate the job board again. Now, Amelia is going to straight up go There we are. In the middle of the night, no less, which I feel a little bit bad. Maybe I should have waited until morning, but it would have impacted the likelihood of whether we got any extra jobbers. So hopefully Forbes is going to be a little bit more likely. They're very likely now to spawn a guest. 94% chance and an 82% chance of spawning a trader. So we're really good in that position. We can now buy bricks. We can buy manure. We can buy fresh fish. We can buy fresh meat, and we can buy tiles. That is interesting. I wasn't expecting the bricks and the tiles from somewhere on the coast, but then again, I guess they would have reasonable access to sand and clay deposits, so I shouldn't have been too surprised by that, really, when I think about it. Right, we've got a little bit more work to be done over here, so hopefully we will see another jobber drop by. Again, when it comes to the jobbers, you can play in a couple of different ways. Once someone is really, really happy, they're probably going to stay really happy, so it's not a bad idea to keep them around. But right now, if I could find someone who had particularly nice stats in terms of their viability as a clan member, that would be ideal. Because Samuel is a pessimist with slow metabolism. Even if they reach maximum satisfaction, if I have a better option, I'm going to take it. I want to turn you down, but at the same time, lazily slow metabolism. Maybe what I should have done is actually kept the last jobber and just left the role open. Okay, that is something I'll bear in mind for the future. Wow, you really hate hunting. My lord. Alright, there we go. Marjorie's skills set up. They actually quite enjoy farming, which is a nice one. In fact, I might even bump that up above planting, since I feel that is a fairly important job. So yeah, you can get on with that, actually. I'd be happy to have you taking care of that. Can we get any more oats? No, but the heather and the thistle are now really starting to come through. It's looking gorgeous down here, if I must say. I guess I don't have to, but I will anyway. What about the grass? We'll let the grass be over there. I don't want to take it away from the rabbits if I can avoid it. But I'm not seeing a great deal of grasses growing out and about. So that's something we're probably going to want to get on soon as we can. Right, let's get the compost bin up and running. Now, the composter is an interesting one. You definitely want this inside. Or rather, you definitely want it under cover of a roof. You do not want to build this external to that. So I'm going to pop down 2 pillars there. And then we're going to, sadly, use up a lot more roofing material to get that all set up. In fact, I could even move that wall across as well. Let's go ahead and do that. And then I will cancel building the wall there. And this will be a reasonable space for us to pop up the compost bin. We'll pop that right about here. There's going to be a bunch of stuff we're going to need for that. We possibly even want 2 of them. Depends on how much material we're going to want to produce over time. We've got 2 poop holes. We're not actually gathering the human excrement for use in making manure, but we do have enough animals that it's something that we've got no small supply of. Rotten food can also be used in that way, and is generally a good thing to use in that way if you can. Also, I noticed that we're bringing in some berries. It probably is time for us to set that up. No, it is not. That is a lie. There are no berries worth gathering. That is a shame. Right, we've unlocked fertilizer. We have also unlocked the manure basket and a couple of other things besides. Let's go ahead and get some gong places set down. You might be wondering what gong is. It's exactly what you think. Anyone who's played Stronghold knows what gong is and how rough of a job being the person responsible for dealing with the gong of the colony. Now, these won't work if they are wet, so we do very much need those set up. We also need to get manure baskets. And of these, I think we're going to get, let's say, a solid 6. So an entire gong place can be dedicated to manure baskets. Once those are made, they'll go in there. Right, we have got a guest. By all means, Hugh, come along, set yourself in, and enjoy. It is day 40, the very last day of spring year 2. And one thing I've just noticed, we've got an extraordinarily large amount of hay seeds available. I'm going to give a job to plant grass. Just get loads of grass out here, please. Go ahead, use up all of that material, all of those seeds. We don't actually need them to be stockpiled. Just get grass going down here as much as you can. Turn this into a massive pasture for our animals eventually. Oh, actually, thinking about that, maybe I should be doing this more down here. But no, for the time being, let's go ahead and just chop all these trees. Get this area ready for us if you could. We are still working on the roof there. Still working on the roof down here. We've got a long ways to go before we've got all of that sorted. But we do have 2 new idea points to spend. That is marvellous. Starting to come thick and fast at this point. Now, I could look at thatch roof, which uses dry peat bricks, logs, and large rocks. Using large rocks on a roof is a bit of a rough one, if you ask me. Brick walls, tile floors, brick floors. I might have a look at brick floors. Honestly, it comes a lot of it comes down to the aesthetics you're looking for. Are there any other kind of roofs that we really want? Not specifically. I could also unlock heather patches and possibly thistle patches as well, so that I could grow my own if I really wanted that. Another thing that would be nice is having a dry stone fence or a wattle fence. Either of those would be kind of nice, and additionally berry bushes too. There are so many different things that we could look into going for, but I think ultimately let's go for the brick floor. We're going to unlock that one, and I'm going to start laying down a brick floor in here. Now, if we have a look at the brick floor, stone floor is 5.5. This is 10.10, so it's very nice outdoors, but you know, particularly nice indoors as well. Let's pop that down. We'll get that whole area set up. We had a lot of dings just then. My goodness. Okay, we've got a new worker. Let's have a look at you. Agnes, you're an optimist. I wouldn't be against taking you instead of Marjorie. Sure, Marjorie, you can head on out. And Agnes, you can come on in and replace them, since you're going to be much easier to keep happy. But we are still looking for another potential marriage candidate here. We've got Rachel and Hugh as traders as well. Unfortunately, they are lost at the icons on the side. I wish there was a little bit of a better system for that. A rooster. I would go for the hens before the rooster, personally. But I am absolutely going to take the food. Sure, we will happily take that. I could comfortably sell flax seeds. Since we've already planted the whole field, I don't really need them. So sure, we'll sell down a couple of these. We've now got planks that I could sell, and this is effectively a renewable resource. I could sell 5 of them for 20 gold. That is not at all unpleasant, but another thing I could do is I could just sell a huge whopping load of stone there. That gives us a clan reputation of 3 and puts us back up to 851. Do I want to sell the planks? I kind of do, but I'm not going to just yet. I'm going to sell some more of the stones instead. There we go. There we are. Brings us up to 900, and you can head on out. And the next trader, I can just straight up buy a bunch of straw. Absolutely. Bunch of flax. Absolutely. A cow. Thing is, they're already midway through their adult life, and I am not going to get the opportunity to milk them for a while, so I'm going to say no to that as much as I am tempted. As much as I am tempted, we're going to say no. And we are not going to sell any of the ash, because ash is necessary to make fertilizer, I do believe. We got another trader as well? Oh my lord, we do. Okay, I will absolutely buy the ore there, and fantastic. I can get rid of some of these. Let's sell them down to 4. There we are, and we've gone through so much of their money. That is actually marvellous. I deeply approve. That has brought us up over 1,000. There you go. Thank you very much for dropping by. That was some good trading right there. Some very good trading. I feel that tile floors and brick floors are so much better, not just because they look better, and they do look better, but because they're a much easier resource for me to gather. The other things that we can build in here, I would like to get a stone fireplace. We'll pop that right there. This is not going to be something for us to build our... to cook on. However, the reason why I was thinking about building is one thing that I couldn't demonstrate over here because of the rock walls with the sides of it. But we can happily, and I mean very happily, do this. Because only these 3 tiles are going to need fire blocking. Anything built directly either side of the fireplace is completely safe. So this is going to be a nice little storage there. We're going to drop the priority on that one though. But that is going to be a nice little storage of fuel for the fireplace. And you can put a couple of other things in there as well to make this room particularly nice for any guests in the future. We do want that flammable blocker set up though, but this place is almost done. At this stage, I think I'm going... Well, we'll wait to see if they can get the whole roof done. There's only 3 more tiles that they need to take care of. But if they can do that before the night falls... It's getting a little bit questionable, though. But if they can, then we have the guest room completed. And that would be absolutely marvellous. Unfortunately, looks like we didn't have enough time. Oh, well. We didn't manage to get the guest room with a guest in it by the turn of summer, but for all intents and purposes, it is finished at this stage. We just need to get a little bit more work done. We should be good, and we've also opened up everything there. We've now got the mulch path. Now this one is very, very nice. Not only is it much faster to walk on, it's also considered beautiful. And another big advantage to it is that it can be placed atop other surfaces. This isn't flattening and tramping down the dirt. This is replacing the surface. This is adding to it rather than subtracting. So as a consequence, you can layer over stone, which otherwise you can't use a dirt path to increase the walk speed. So we're just going to immediately be using all of that bark to make mulch paths pretty much everywhere we can. There is no particular reason not to. But that is going to be it for this episode. We have made it to summer year 2 and we've done a lot of progress. Whilst we didn't manage to get a guest to sleep in the new guest room, we have built it. It is tiled, it's got beautiful tile flooring. It is the best room in the clan at the moment since it's got all log walls. We do need to still bring down a window and build another one and build a fireplace. And then finally we can move in the guest bed. And this should give us a very, very comfortable income source from guests. So it looks like Orestes is deciding to go for the wolves, but the wolves are going for our lambs. Are they going to be taken out in time is a big question. Orestes, are you going to be able to manage this? It looks like they have been spooked. You were badly wounded. And you were also reasonably... Oh, sorry, it wasn't just Orestes. Malachi was there as well. Well done, Malachi. Papa to the rescue. But that is going to be it from me, and as much as I want to stay here and I'm dragging out the goodbye, I do actually have to wrap things up. So thank you ever so much to everyone for joining. I hope you have enjoyed, and as always, if you enjoyed what you saw and you want to see more, then you know how to let Sound Algorithmus know down below with all of those beautiful buttons. But until next time, do take care.